I'm going to go ahead and call this regular meeting of the Board of Public Safety and Order. Today is Wednesday, October 5th in the City Hall Auditorium. We have participating in person, Commissioner McElroy, Commissioner Benedetto, Commissioner McLeod, sorry about that, and Commissioner Battle. And on Zoom, I see we also have Commissioner Cogswell. I think Commissioner Spino called and said she was ill. So before we begin the meeting, could we please stand and pledge the flag?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 1 on tonight's agenda is, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public for members of the public attending in person only.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
Benedetto, seconded by Commissioner McLeod. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have volunteer fire department. Anything as a public? Nothing? All right, we'll move it down to item 2. Item 2, I'll entertain a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from September 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Benedetto,
Second.
and seconded by Commissioner McElroy. Questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any?
And I abstain.
One abstention for the record would be Commissioner McLeod. Item 3, I'll entertain a motion to accept Police Chief Baldwin's report for August 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner McLeod.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Benedetto. Questions on the report? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, I'll entertain a motion to accept Fire Chief Borden's report for August 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
Benedetto, and seconded by Commissioner McElroy. Questions on the report?
Chief, I had a couple questions about the EMS calls. We're going on quite a few of them. I was looking in August, we went over 18 calls for medical. Is there a reason why we're going?
There is, and if it would be okay with you, can I discuss that when we get into the more open forum? Because I want to speak at length through it. If that's okay?
Yeah.
Or would you need an answer right now?
No, it's fine.
Okay, I have some things I want to discuss to the board in general.
Oh.
So.
Okay. Other questions on the report? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5, I'll entertain a motion to accept the EMS provider activity report for August 2022.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner McElroy, seconded by Commissioner McLeod. Questions on the report? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Motion carries. Item 6, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by volunteer fire departments.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Benedetto, seconded by Commissioner McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything to add this evening, gentlemen? Okay. Item 7, I'll entertain a motion to consider business by department heads.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Benedetto,
Second.
and seconded by Commissioner McElroy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, so we'll start with Chief Baldwin.
Good evening. Just very briefly, on the 27th, we had 12 candidate interviews we're down 10 vacancies. We gave 4 conditional offers. Thank you to Commissioner McLeod and Commissioner Spino, who were part of the interview process. On the 26th, we had a PAL golf tournament that was very well attended. And thank you to Commissioner Benedetto for your generous donation to the tournament. As much appreciated. We received a donation from the Northwest Community Bank for the work that my officers and detectives did in the robbery that occurred at the Litchfield Bank Corp on East Main Street. Very, very appreciative of the efforts and the work that we did, and we're very appreciative of Northwest Bank for giving us that donation. It was very much appreciated. Our annual in-service training has begun in West Hartford. So we're scheduling our officers to continue with their annual certification training. We had a large drug arrest at the Torrington Towers back on the 21st. The residents of the towers, as well as Claudia Sweeney, are very, very appreciative of the efforts that our officers made. It was a lengthy investigation that led to a culmination of an arrest, which was very much needed over there. Just as a reminder, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Tomorrow night is the vigil at Cove Park at 6 o'clock. I won't be able to attend that, but we will have officers representing the department there, so long as they're not tied up on any calls. I have another commitment, but the mayor issued a proclamation on Monday recognizing October as being Domestic Violence Awareness Month to the appreciation of the Susan B. Anthony Project. On the emergency management front, the state positivity rate right now is still 9.5%. Torrington's positivity rate is 10.76%. Highest counts are in the counties of Hartford, New Haven, and Fairfield. Litchfield, we have 163 positive cases. So it's just, again, another reminder that COVID is still alive and well within our community. We also, just as a reminder too, that we're entering flu season, which just is fall through winter, with the peak of flu season being December and February. And just a reminder that people should get their flu shots. And I think everybody's aware, with COVID being out there, Jeff Ganong is currently suffering from COVID right now. So he reached out, but that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Questions?
Do we ever have any findings of the fatality on 24th Street?
It's still under investigation, Commissioner. So the our AIT is still working on that. And until we close that case out, we don't really want to comment on that, but we'll be more than happy to share that information with you once the case is complete.
Chief, just a question on manpower now. How many positions we're down now?
We're down 10.
Down 10?
Yes, we have 4 in the academy right now. 2 are on their FTO program. They should be finishing up their FTO program. And by the end of this month, we have 1 scheduled to graduate in November. And then the other 3 are in the Waterbury Academy, not scheduled to graduate in March. With the conditional offers that were made as a result of the interviews, we hope to have a academy seat sometime this fall in New Britain. New Britain, and we're looking for some seats in a January post class at Meriden. So,
okay. Thank you.
Other questions for Chief on this report? Right, Chief Borden.
With Commissioner Benedetto's question. We have changed our response profile slightly on what we call Delta calls, which are higher acuity medical calls. And we're doing it as a temporary thing right now to kind of just test the waters. Because as you know, we're limited on resources with 3 pieces of apparatus, so we can't tie up apparatus on a larger call volume easily. But at the same time, while there's a little bit of downtime built into the firefighter's day, we're saying to ourselves, there's a few calls that if we start going to, that we can make a difference in a citizen's life, that instead of sitting in the firehouse, we should be responding. And typically, looking at the numbers, we're about 3 to 4 minutes faster than the ambulance in certain areas of the city. And that's 3 or 4 minutes of life-saving things we can do. Give a diabetic glucose, somebody who's having chest pain, aspirin. Obviously, we got a cardiac arrest already, so we would initiate anyhow. But there's a lot of the other calls that could lead to more severe things based on nothing against Trinity. It's just a delay of response in where they are in the city. So if we're sitting right around the corner, it's kind of foolish not to utilize our resources to at least start rendering care. So that's what we're kind of testing the waters on right now. There may be some call types that we're going to back off of. Having discussions with Commissioner McElroy and Commissioner McLeod, one of the problems we have is the notifications that you get are generic. When you see sick person, you're going, why are we going on a sick person? Well, there's more to the EMD process through Litchfield County Dispatch that would prompt us to go. It's just not indicated on updates that you guys get or the alerts you get. So, and that's just the process. I mean, I get the same thing and I scratch my head saying, why are we doing this? So, but we're trying to weed those out. We're really closely monitoring this on a daily basis. And then we're looking at it weekly, and I'm hoping within a month's time frame or so, we can get a much better profile of what exactly is occurring. And adding to that is, as I've expressed to both of them, I've seen it in my short time here, but historically talking with Chief Tripp and others, Torrington has always been one of those things where you kind of go steady, you have an uptick, and then you drop back down, you kind of go steady again. And what I think has occurred right when we kind of push the button and say we're going to go on a few different call types, we're going on the uptick. So it seemed like a lot more than it is. And that's why I want to forecast it over at least a month or two to say, is it truly impacting our system delivery, or is it just that we were kind of caught in that little bell curve, if you will?
Because there's a couple calls where the ambulance was there and then they were on scene that I saw a call at. And then the fire truck shows up and the ambulance guys are like, why are you guys here?
Again, that's a communication thing that we have to work internally to say, you know, if you're in that scene, you can dismiss us if you don't need us. There's guys should turn around, not a big deal. But I'd hate to miss the opportunities for the ones that we can make a difference on. But again, it's being closely monitored because we only have so many resources to apply to it. And I don't want to see us take away from what we're currently capable of doing.
And do we really want to run a fire truck to all these medical calls?
There's that side too. But again, the taxpayers are paying taxes for us to, you know, provide services to them. And if we have that opportunity to make a difference, then it makes sense. But it's that fine thing of kind of weeding it out to say, we're going to these calls because we are going to make a difference on them versus we're just going to calls because it's a call type or whatever. We're not trying to increase our responses or do any of that kind of stuff. It's just provide a better service with what we have.
And what is it, Trinity not getting to these calls? Is that why we're beating them there?
No, that situation was rectified back in the middle part of July. Because there was a time that they were having a difficult time getting the call based on call volume that they're getting that we're not necessarily aware of, but they're saturated, and that's why we're relying on mutual aid for that period of time. But they've increased their response capabilities quite a bit, or something's changed, and they're pretty much on every call now. We haven't called mutual aid in quite a while.
Okay. And on the, I'm looking at the EMS provider report. It says we only assist them 3 times.
Assisted that Trinity?
Yes, assisted Trinity 3 times. And I look in the report and there's quite a few of them, you know. So who does this, Trinity?
I am not certain on that one. I have to.
Who gives you this report, Trinity?
That's
Okay.
Trinity.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. I haven't had a chance to dissect all the stuff that was sent to you this month.
No problem.
I've been scrambling everywhere.
Other questions for Chief Morgan or more on your
I
report?
have more to go. So the past 3 days, I attended a peer support event up in Vermont to look at the benefits of a program like that and bring something like that back to Torrington. Because as you know, all of our first responders, both police, fire, and EMS, go to a lot of dicey calls and a lot of things, and that stuff builds up over a career, not to mention people's personal lives and things like that. And it would be really nice to get some type of group organized between the 3 organizations in Torrington. So if a first responder member is starting to feel depressed, out of sorts, or whatever the case may be, having a difficult time dealing with things, not dealing with their family the right way, et cetera, it's something that we can have for an outreach program for them to be able to do something internally. Not that we're qualified to fix the problem, but they have the contacts and get the person into the programs they need to get into, kind of steer them in the right direction. And sometimes it's just somebody to talk to and those kind of things. So I'll have more to report on that later because I'm just coming off of that today. So, but I found the program really offered quite a bit that we can utilize, and it lends itself to looking at, not losing good members in the future, and not using sick time so much, and a lot of other things that would be beneficial to the city. So incident notifications, I brought that up earlier. Several of you have mentioned that you're not getting certain things or whatever. So I think I straightened everything out with LCD to get it back to what it used to be. They did the test. I think you all got it. So it seems like everything's back the way it should be for now. Internally, Chief Tripp, myself, and probably Chief Shopey are going to sit down and start looking at notifications in general. what do we want to be notified on as chief officers? We'll be getting together with you guys, either through phone calls or emails to say, what do you really want to know about? You don't really need to know about the stub toe and things like that, 2 o'clock in the morning. But the more critical calls you do. So we have to kind of start that kind of process and then sit down with LCD to create that dialogue and then set up the profile sheet as to what buttons they press for what calls. So that's a work in progress. Our new recruit, I had the opportunity to visit with him for a little bit on Friday and to look at the program that they do up there for their physical therapy, not therapy, training, to develop them and things like that. And it's a great program up there. They spend every morning for at least an hour or sometimes a little bit more, doing a lot of calisthenics and muscle building and building cardiovascular health and things like that. So that program is good. And then right after that, they get into their actual firefighting routine of, different skills and things they're practicing. But it was really neat to see the whole crew up there and to meet with our recruit for a little bit and see how he's doing. He's very happy and seems to be fitting in. His evaluation reports coming back from the academy are very good. He's been in the mid to high 90s on everything. So that's a great thing. So I think this new guy's going to work out very well. Bring him back. So over, I think it was the past month and a half, we received a new resignation from another member. So that's going to bring us in the springtime, probably looking at 3 people to go to the recruit program because we're anticipating 2 retirements that we're budgeted for. This new addition is just one that we're going to have to see if we can find some money to get him up into the academy and going. And hopefully by the time he's done with the academy, we're going to be looking at the next budget cycle. Offset that side of things. So we'll play with that. And as far as overtime goes, which is always the big buzzword, right now we have 2 out on workman's comp. We don't know the anticipated return time, and we have 1 long-term that's out on his own sick time. So that's creating a little bit more overtime than we normally would have moving through this period, but part of the game. Hopefully it'll level out in the future. And that's it.
Are there questions or comments? All right, we're good. Absent our EMS. Thank you for letting us know. I wasn't aware of the COVID diagnosis. So, right.
Hi, actually, I'm on. If you can hear me.
Oh, you are on. All right. So Jeff's on. There you are. I don't know. Did you want to add anything to this evening? Do you have a report or anything?
The only thing I just wanted to add is I believe Commissioner Benedetto asked the question about the discrepancy in the amount of calls that the fire department was going on and what we had listed in our report. So we had 3 fire department assists, and that is only when we are contacting the fire department for an assist on our end. In other words, if we need to access a building that we can't, or we call them for like a bariatric lift assist, etc. So these other calls, are when the fire department self-dispatches. So those are not included in our report.
So Jeff, just a question on like response time and these calls. So who dispatches the fire department? LCD, or does your dispatch?
Well, no, LCD is dispatching the fire department to those calls. So on a medical emergency, the 911 comes into LCD. LCD contacts our dispatch center, and our dispatch center dispatches our ambulances. So the calls that the fire chief was talking about, those are calls that I'm assuming has spoken to LCD with and has requested them to dispatch them to certain types of emergencies.
All right. Any other questions for Jeff? Thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. right.
Absolutely.
All right. Moving into item 8, I will entertain a motion to consider business by the mayor and members of the Board of Public Safety.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Benedetto.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so starting, I guess we'll go to the screen. Greg, is there anything that you wanted to add this evening or questions?
No, nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner McElroy. Commissioner Benedetto,
No, thank you.
Commissioner McLeod.
Just one thing I think, though, you're gonna maybe bring up about Deputy Chief.
Oh, yes, yep, I will.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm good then.
Okay,
I'm all
good.
set.
Okay, and Commissioner Battle.
No, I want to say I definitely would be interested in hearing more about the peer program because, you know, I'm always concerned that we don't want you guys to be too stressed out or so. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so quickly, I can't remember if the last time we met, I was able to share with the board that through our American Rescue Plan funding, we had set aside community impact grant opportunities. Both Drakeville Volunteer Fire Department and Torringford Volunteer Fire Department submitted grant requests. One was under $15,000. That was the Drakeville request for tires. And we got rid of our small requests really early. And the announcement of that award was made last month at the city council meeting. Torringford's request is currently under review, and we should have an answer for you beginning of November. I mean, it's a good community partnership grant opportunity. So I was really pleased to see both volunteer departments submit their requests. And there will be a second round that will release again in the wintertime or early springtime. So hopefully however we can set this up so that there's a recognition for additional grant opportunities for both departments, I think would be helpful. I want to make sure that all of the commissioners received an invitation to tomorrow's ribbon cutting grand opening of the Riverfront, which is the Penrose apartment building on Franklin Plaza or Franklin Street. It's Franklin Plaza Street and then Drive. The reason I want to make sure that you all received is we confirmed all of the email addresses, but for whatever reason, I'm getting some feedback that some of those email addresses were either entered wrong. So
I didn't, but it probably went to my city, which of course doesn't work.
Undoubtedly.
It doesn't work.
So tomorrow, 11 o'clock on Franklin Plaza, they have a tent. The governor will be here, Senator Blumenthal, Congresswoman Hayes. There'll be some typical politicians saying stuff. And then they'll do a tour, which I think is a real nice opportunity for all of our boards to get in the building, get an eye on what does this look like and how is this going to change the landscape of our downtown. To the question about the deputy chief for the police department, as you know, in our budget, we budgeted to fill this position in January. The chief and I, and actually the board and I spoke shortly after our last chief search about this process. The chief and I will be working through the internal, open the position up for internal candidates, if any internal candidates are interested. And then based on that internal candidate search, the chief will then meet with this board in an executive session to go over those candidates. And from there, the board will, much like a promotion, decide if there's a need to do an interview or whatever the recommendations may be, and we'll take that lead from there. So internal candidates first, and we'll see how that goes. We want to start that process very soon. Chief and I spoke about this Tuesday morning, which feels like a month ago already. The reason I say we want to start this soon is it's already October, exactly. And if we can get this so that this board is actually taking action on the appointment in the January meeting, we'll have met our goal of doing this by January. So questions on that process?
Could we just be informed on the criteria that you're using? you know, when you're going through the candidates or before you go through them, just.
So the
to see
job
criteria,
description.
what you're
Job
looking
description.
for, what you're not looking for. And
Yeah.
because I'm not accusing this board, I'm just saying in general that we've hired people in the past where they didn't come close to having the requirements we're looking for. And that's all. I just like to see that up front, and we'll go from there, and hopefully it's a smooth process and
Yeah.
everybody's happy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, we can pull the job description. There may be some things that, as the chief, I think what the chief needs
yeah.
will dictate what that job description looks like.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think that the board should take a look at that and,
I'm just very adamant personally about if you're going to use a job description,
yes.
make sure that people, hold up to that,
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't even bother. Get
Yeah.
rid of it, lose it somewhere.
Good.
So.
Yep. All right. Other questions? All right, then, and as you were saying, Commissioner, that your email, the Torrington CT email is still not working for you. The city council, through the ARPA funding, did agree to implement a full installation of a new audiovisual Zoom meeting opportunity. Things like our microphone will actually have stations at the dais here, where each member of the board will, instead of relying on their own device, whether it's, your cell phone or a iPad, you'll have a device here that you can access. We will straighten out through this process all of those email problems that we've been having. We'll eliminate this, this camera and screen setup. So actually bring us into the 21st century when it comes to e-meetings. They're here to stay. I can't deny they've been good. We actually do find people tuning in and paying attention. So we want to make sure that we're providing a really good, high quality system. And that contract was agreed to earlier in September. So we'll be working through that and hopefully have that fully implemented before the first of the year as well. The ARPA committee that has been working through the grant application reviews and some of the other goals of our ARPA spending have been meeting. And this morning, we've decided that we want to do perhaps November or December, a joint meeting with the boards, because so much of the ARPA money has been earmarked for public safety. It's been earmarked for education, and it's been earmarked for small business and some of our local not-for-profits, including Little League, the soccer team, and POW programs. So we're going to try to pull together a joint meeting and celebrate some of the wins that we've already seen as a result of what this ARPA funding is doing for our community. And we very much want Board of Safety to be a part of that, because a good 30% of these funds are actually being spent on public safety issues. So, all right. All right, then item 9, if there is no question or.
Can I just add something very quickly?
Yeah,
I
please.
forgot
Feel free.
before.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking for a flu shot and is curious on how the community soup kitchen works down there, Harvard Healthcare will be there Friday, giving out flu shots, from, I don't know, 9 to 12 or something. So little advertisement.
Little
plus,
PSA.
Plus, it's a good idea to get the flu shot anyway.
So you get lunch and a flu shot.
And it's, you're paying for it no matter what anywhere. It's not for, so.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, there being no further business before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
Benedetto, seconded by Commissioner McLeod. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all.